there is a question most people never think to ask themselves. Not, am I successful? Not, am I rich? But this one. If I keep living exactly the way I'm living now, who will I become? This is the story of a man who found the answer in the last place he expected. In a small town near the edge of a great forest, there lived a blacksmith named Elias. He was known as the finest craftsman in the region. His hands could shape iron into anything. Farmers came to him for tools, merchants came for locks and hinges, builders came for nails and beams, and Elias never turned work away. Not because he needed the money. He had plenty of that. Over the years, Elias had accumulated more than most men in the town. A large stone house, fields of land, chests of coins locked away in a back room. Every time he completed a job, he counted what he earned. Every time he counted, he told himself he needed just a little more. And then he would feel complete. But that feeling never came. At night, Elias lay in his large empty bed and stared at the ceiling. The house was quiet. Too quiet. He had no wife. He had lost touch with old friends years ago, too busy working to keep those connections alive. His children had grown and moved to distant towns. He told himself this was fine. He had built something. He had what he needed. But something inside him did not believe that. One gray morning, an old woman came to his workshop. She was small and simply dressed, her white hair tucked under a faded cloth. She carried something wrapped in old linen. "I need a favor," she said. "The wooden frame on this mirror is broken. Can you fix the metal clasp that holds it together?" Elias barely looked up from his work. "I don't do wood. I don't do household things. Take it to a carpenter." The old woman stood quietly for a moment. Then she set the wrapped mirror carefully against the workshop wall and turned to leave. "Wait," Elias said. "You forgot your mirror." "Keep it," she said simply. "Perhaps it will show you something useful." And she walked away. Elias stared at the wrapped linen for a long moment. Then he went back to work. That evening, as he was closing up the workshop, he almost threw it out. But something made him stop. He unwrapped the linen and looked at the mirror. It was old. The frame was cracked. The glass was clouded at the edges. He almost set it aside, but then he glanced at his reflection and froze. The man in the mirror was not him. Or rather, it was him, but older, much older. He sat alone in a dark, bare room. No fire, no light, no warmth. His hands, those same strong hands, rested empty in his lap. His eyes were hollow. His face had no expression. Around him, nothing. No people, no laughter, no sound. Just silence. Elias stumbled back. His heart was pounding. He looked away, then looked again. The reflection was gone. Only his own face stared back. He did not sleep that night. By morning, one thought had settled into him like iron cooling in water. That old woman, he had to find her. He asked around the town. Nobody knew her name. Nobody remembered seeing her. But an old innkeeper said, "There is a woman matching that description who sometimes stays in the village near the mill. 2 days' walk east." Elias had not left the town in years. He had always been too busy, too much work, too much to protect. But something had shifted. He locked his workshop and walked. The road east was longer than he remembered roads could be. His boots were made for standing at a forge, not walking through mud and stone. By the end of the first day, his back ached and his feet were sore. He stopped at a farm to ask for water. A man and his young son were repairing a broken fence. The father looked up and smiled. "Come in, sit. My wife just made soup." Elias almost refused. He was in a hurry. He had somewhere to be. But his legs made the decision before his mind did. He sat at their table. The soup was simple. The bread was rough. But the family talked and laughed and passed food to each other without thinking. The boy showed Elias a small wooden horse he had carved himself. "I made it," the boy said proudly. Elias looked at the rough little horse and felt something strange move through his chest. He could not remember the last time. He had made something just for the joy of it. He thanked them and continued walking. On the second day, he passed through a small village where an old woman was teaching children to read under a large tree. Further along, two men were building a small bridge over a stream, laughing at something one of them had said. A young girl was picking wildflowers, singing quietly to herself. Elias walked through all of it, and for the first time in years, he actually saw it. He had passed through towns and villages his whole life, but he had never really looked. He had always been calculating, always measuring, always moving toward the next thing. He had missed all of this. He found the old woman that evening, sitting outside a small cottage near the mill, watching the sun go down over the water. She looked up when she heard his footsteps. She did not seem surprised to see him. "You walked 2 days," she said. "Yes," Elias said. He sat down beside her without being invited. "The mirror," he said quietly. "What did it show me?" The old woman looked at the water for a long moment. "A mirror shows you what is already there," she said. "Not what has happened, what is coming, if nothing changes." Elias was silent. "I have worked my whole life," he said finally. "I have built something real, something that lasts." Yes," the old woman said. "But who will remember it when you are gone? And more importantly, when you lie in that bed at night and the house is quiet, what do you feel?" Elias had no answer, because the answer was something he had spent years refusing to name. "Empty. Iron is strong," the old woman said softly. "But iron left alone rusts. Even the hardest metal needs something to keep it alive." They sat together in silence for a while. The sun finished setting. The water went dark. "What do I do?" Elias asked. The old woman smiled for the first time. "You already started," she said. "You left." Elias walked home slowly. There was no rush now. He stopped where the family had given him soup. He spent an afternoon helping them finish the fence. The father shook his hand. The boy waved from the doorway. He stopped in the village where the woman was teaching children. He sat and listened for an hour. One child asked him what he made. He told her. Her eyes went wide. "Can you show me?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Come to the town sometime. I will show you." When Elias finally reached home, he unlocked the workshop. He looked at his tools, his forge, his hands. They were the same hands, but something behind them had changed. He opened the back room and looked at the chests of coins. Then he closed the door. Not because the money meant nothing, but because he finally understood it was not the point. In the weeks that followed, Elias began to work differently. He still forged iron, but now, sometimes he made small things. A tiny iron bird for the innkeeper's daughter, a simple hook for an old neighbor who could no longer hang her coat easily. He taught a young apprentice who had nowhere else to go. The workshop became louder, warmer. And at night, Elias still lay in his large bed, but the ceiling looked different now, because the silence was no longer empty. It was full of things worth remembering. One evening, he passed the old mire leaning against the workshop wall. He'd forgotten about it. He stopped and looked into it. This time, the reflection was his own. Older, yes, lined and worn, but the eyes were alive. And in the background of the reflection, faint but unmistakable, there were other people, voices, light. He picked up the mirror and hung it on the wall. We spend so much of our lives building things we can hold, houses, savings, possessions, achievements, and there is nothing wrong with that. But sometimes, in the quiet hours when everything is still, we feel it, that hollow place that all those things cannot fill. Because what fills a life is not what you accumulate, it is what you experience, what you give, who you let in. The mirror does not lie. And sometimes the most important question we can ask ourselves is a simple one. If I keep living exactly the way I am living now, who will I become?